Global, leading Britain's conversation with Tom Watson.
Good morning to you. Kidderminster's own James O'Brien is on holiday this week, sunning himself somewhere nice, so you've got the substitute, Tom Watson from Kidderminster. So I'm going to offer preference to anyone that rings from the horse fair in Kidderminster, and if you're in Wyre Forest in general, give us a call. Today is a big day in politics. Theresa May is off to Brussels to meet Jean-Claude Juncker. She's looking for a deal. He's not looking like he's going to give her one. We've got crises in both political parties. We've lost MPs this week in the Labour Party. There's talk in Westminster of Conservative MPs going today. And I want to hear your views. It seems to me that politics is more volatile than it ever has been in my lifetime. With political leaders not being able to find a deal on Brexit, we've got two MPs starting the programme who think they've got a deal. And my first caller is Robert Halfon, Chair of the Education Select Committee, MP for Harlow, former Chair of the Conservative Party. Robert, good morning.
Hello there, good morning to you.
Now, tell me about your plan for Brexit and what you think it will do to sort out the impasse we find ourselves in politics right now.
Well, I've worked very closely with Lucy Powell, a Labour MP, and a number of other MPs from across the House. And we've come up with a plan called Common Market 2.0. And what we want to do is basically deliver the referendum result so that people feel that the referendum result has been honoured by getting out of all the political stuff of the EU, getting out of the fisheries policy, the farming policies, the home affairs stuff, taxation, political union, but safeguard jobs and businesses. And what we found is that when people talk about this issue, they say, we originally voted for a common market. That's what we want to get back to. And so Common Market 2.0 means we, in essence, join the European Free Trade Area, which Norway, Iceland and Switzerland belong to at the moment. And we'd be part of a single market, but you'd have a lot more power to derogate from directives and rules, and you're subject to the EFTA court, not the European court. The EFTA court is a guidance court. And so I think it would, in essence, as Boris Johnson might say, you'd be able to have your cake and eat it at the same time.
Robert, you've obviously got a detailed plan there, and I've known you a long time. You're sort of a very grassroots politician in my own sort of vein. It's very unusual for backbench MPs to work together on big international issues like this. I'm going to get Lucy Powell on after you, but what made you try and find common cause with some of your Labour counterparts on this?
Well, I felt that Parliament was kind of stalemate about all this. I didn't quite like the Prime Minister's deal. I voted against it the first time because I thought it kept us in a spaghetti a junction of EU bureaucracy without any voice or veto. And Lucy, I worked very closely with on the Education Committee, and we discussed it. And I felt that actually this was a good idea to try and bring people together from both sides of the House of the Divide, but trying to square the circle of delivering the referendum result, but not destroying our jobs, our economy, by just kind of coming out of the EU without a no deal at all. And that's and actually, Tom, you would know this. I mean, politics is changing in a huge way. If you'd said a few years ago I'd be sitting in my room with Labour MPs, I would never have even imagined it possible. But people tend to be working together on an issue-by-issue basis, and it's happened a lot with Brexit. Brexit is a great disruptor of politics. It's really changing how we work.
That's the thing that's interesting, because obviously I think the listeners expect politicians to work more closely and beyond their political borders, but it's sometimes hard to describe how hard that is. I mean, what kind of pressures are you getting from the inside of your own party to try and sort of conform to the sort of front bench plan? Do you find internal pressure, or? Well,
there's a lot of people who wanted me to support the Prime Minister's deal. I have meetings with the PM, discussions with the whips. Various people came to see me. It may be that I vote for it the second time round because I am very worried that we crash out on a no deal. But if it doesn't go through, and it doesn't look like it's going to go through, I'll do everything possible to make the Common Market 2.0 option happen.
I'm going to just bring Lucy in now, Robert. Lucy, welcome to LBC. You're very welcome on the programme.
Morning.
What made you, a Labour MP, work with a Tory MP like Robert Halfon against the sort of, dare I say, the wishes of party managers and people like me, the deputy leader of the Labour Party?
Well, I think we all felt coming into Christmas, especially coming into the back end of last year, when it was becoming increasingly clear that the Prime Minister was not going to get her deal through in a big way. And also, when I looked at some of the other options on the table, I have a lot of concerns about a second referendum and what that would do to our politics and the signal it would send to many of our voters who voted Leave and so on. I felt that it was about time I had a view on what could happen, rather than just being against or having reservations about everybody else's sort of plans. And a long time ago, I used to be the director of Britain in Europe when we were campaigning for the Euro and to stay in the EU at that time. And so I did have some sort of background knowledge in this. So I felt I should be somebody who perhaps should put forward a proposal. So I was looking around at some of the options. I spoke to Rob. Rob and I work very closely on the Education Select Committee, and we realised that we sort of shared a view about it. And so we decided over Christmas to write this pamphlet, Common Market 2.0, which is probably one of the most sort of comprehensive and serious proposals on the table, because it's fully fleshed out. We got a lot of legal advice in putting it together. We think it's achievable, it's doable, but it's something that both Leavers and Remainers could support for different reasons. So we think it will bring people together. And I didn't feel I was particularly going against my party. I feel like this is a sort of a version of what the Labour Party and what Jeremy Corbyn has been proposing, but it's just a much more comprehensive and fleshed out version of that.
Lucy, I'm going to bring the listeners in shortly, but let me just ask you this. I know your constituency of Manchester Central. I've seen some great bands there. I've been in some great pubs there. Your constituency is about as Labour as it comes. Do you get any pressure from people saying you're trying to work with Tory MPs, you're sort of crossing the class divide, or do you find that they want you to work to find this solution?
I've actually had overwhelmingly sort of positive reaction from people who are very much want us to stay in, and some who want us to leave the EU, because I think what most people think in my experience right now is that they want us to just sort this out and come together and stop bickering. And so I think any attempt to do that, I think, is largely seen in a positive light. So I've not had that much flack for it. I mean, it's partly, I think, because the person who Rob is. I think if I was writing a pamphlet with Jacob Rees-Mogg, I'd probably get a lot more grief for it. But
yeah,
but I do. I think also maybe when people see the headlines every day and they see the news every day, perhaps they don't appreciate that actually behind the scenes there really is quite a mood of compromise and coming together in Parliament. I don't feel like that at the moment with people leaving parties and that kind of thing.
Lucy,
but
yeah.
We all want to come together.
Lucy, that's good. Two tough cookies, Rob Halfon and Lucy Powell there. They're well regarded in both parties. But let's go to the callers. This is your programme. I want to hear your views on Brexit. I'm going to go back to my neck of the woods. Ben in Birmingham. You're not quite from Kidderminster, but you're very welcome on LBC this morning. What's your views on these two MPs that are crossing the party divide to try and find a solution to Brexit?
Well, when politicians work together on an issue-by-issue basis, I think that's fine. And if that's at the moment in accordance with Labour Party policy, then so be it. But, for me, Tom, our stance, the Labour Party stance on Brexit is just unicorns. And I really do think that we should be running on a full anti-Brexit ticket. Not even a second referendum. In my opinion, Brexit is a project for the right, by the right, and it's being executed by the right. And, to do anything but oppose it means we're not protecting the people that need protecting. And even if they think they voted for it, it's against their interests. When we have a general election and people vote Conservative, we try to persuade them that that's not in their interests. I don't understand why Brexit is any different, although I do. Well, I have a theory, I suppose, and that is, for me, Corbynism is not about policy. We have a great manifesto with some really good policies that will change this country, but they're just good Labour policies. Corbynism is mainly about values, but the one policy element that has infected our manifesto is a pro-Brexit stance, and to me, we're just enabling a conservative project. Because look, the left and the right, if you go further enough to either side, they do start to meet.
So you'll say that Labour is leading too far into Brexit to appeal to its natural supporters.
And whether it's its natural supporters or not, for me, it should be about principle and doing what is right to protect those who most need protecting. And we are failing to do that on Brexit. I live in a big Leave constituency.
Whereabouts in Birmingham do you live?
It's in the Dudley Borough.
Dudley,
and So I appreciate that. That's going to make it a pro-Brexit ticket. Sorry, an anti-Brexit ticket might make it difficult for electoral success here, but I don't think it makes it impossible. And also, we talk about democracy. Well, look, we're a representative democracy. So the Tories could run on a manifesto of Theresa May's rotten deal. UKIP can run on a no-deal manifesto, and we can run on a no-Brexit manifesto. That to me would be how we start to repair British politics, is to bring each party to take a stance.
Okay, Ben, thanks for your call. 0345 6060 973. That's the number you need to get in touch. I'm Tom Watson, standing in for Kidderminster's James O'Brien. It's 10:15.
This is LBC.
Little Red Riding Hood has been trying to sell her grandma's home for some time now, but the estate agent's shiny, sharp teeth have left her with sweat on her brow.
Trust me, darling, I just want what's best for you, hence the added fees.
However, she spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who cut out the middleman and guaranteed a sale in as little as 48 hours with no fees whatsoever. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
Isn't it reassuring to know that when you're looking to remortgage, you don't have to rejig your routine? That's why at Barclays we offer evening and weekend appointments. It means you get to talk to us when it works best for you. Morning or evening. We're refreshing and reshaping the way we do mortgages to make them easier. Search Barclays Mortgages. Let's go forward. T's and C's apply.
The Champions League round of 16, and it's the first of two legs. Will Atletico overcome Juventus and keep Ronaldo quiet? And can Schalke shut out City's free-scoring attack? Your gut says they'll struggle to keep a clean sheet. And your smarts say whatever happens, Betfair has had the best odds on the Champions League. Betfair, where gut instinct meets smarts.
Data provided by TXOdds and BetRadar based on Betfair Sportsbook average match odds over round since 1st of January 2018 compared to leading UK bookmakers. Full terms at betfair.com. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, we know that when you've got your own business, there are all manner of things that keep you up at night. Is it too soon to think of expanding? Should we redesign our website? How can I afford the initial payment for a new van? Well, that's one thing you can cross off the worry list, because you can now pick up a new Volkswagen Caddy with no upfront payment. The Volkswagen Caddy, from £199 a month and absolutely nothing to pay up front on contract hire. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles. Incredible offers to help your business thrive. Working with you. Business users only, excluding VAT at 20%. Over 48 months. No initial rental. T's and C's apply. No ownership until the 31st of March 2019. Volkswagen Finance.
I'm making this Vonage phone system my business. Let's go through it again.
I'll have it set up for you in a few hours.
At 11:14 exactly. Seamlessly flip your call from your desk phone to your mobile.
1423. Pop up Mr. Brown's Salesforce data when he calls.
1605. Simultaneously video call you and Mr. White.
Okay, let's do this.
Make Vonage part of your entourage. To find out more, go to vonage.co.uk. Terms apply.
Vonage. Sounds like good business to me.
If you're a frequent traveller in premium, business and first class, is your travel agent charging you too much? Switching to Bright Sun Travel's 24/7 tailor-made travel services means you could pay less on flights and hotels and enjoy free benefits like early and late checkout, room upgrades and hotel credits. Conditions apply. Visit brightsun.co.uk. Atoll protected.
Look there! Their unbiased information could save billions across the nation. Proudly independent, free and fair.
This is LBC with Tom Watson. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
We're talking Brexit and the state of the political parties. It's time to hear your views. I've got Caroline from Whetstone on the line. Caroline, welcome to LBC.
Hello, thank you, Tom, and welcome to LBC for you as well. I just wanted to say, well, first of all, I thought your video was amazing, but just to talk about Brexit for a moment, I think Labour are in the most disgraceful position after unanimously voting at conference to implement the second referendum. They said they were going to try vote of no confidence first in the government, and if that failed, they would bring in the second ref vote. After doing that, it looks like they're actually happy to leave with a no deal now. And I feel that Corbyn et al. Conned their members into thinking that they would back a second referendum when they wouldn't, and that follows Corbyn originally conning the voters into thinking he would back Remain when he obviously has no intention of remaining in the EU.
Caroline, we definitely don't want a hard Brexit. We don't want a no-deal Brexit as a party. You're right, though. There is turbulence within the PLP, and you heard Lucy Powell earlier trying to, she's working with Conservative MPs to try and find another solution. But the problem with politics is both political leaders are trying to unite both Remain and Brexit voters, and Labour's policy is to try and have a national conversation about Brexit through a general election. We failed in that. The Prime Minister's then offered this new kind of deal, reaching out, trying to find a sort of a compromise position that all the party leaders, not just Labour, could be involved in. And they're still in that process.
But then people have to have a chance to be able to vote to ratify that deal. That's the most sensible way forward. And just to go on a bit about what I was saying at the beginning, I just felt your video was extremely important and showed a side of the Labour Party which I feel is now sadly destroyed. I feel the party is now rotten to the core, and I was wondering if you would consider following your very brave colleagues and joining the independent group.
Well, look, firstly, thank you for saying that. For the listeners that didn't see it, this was my video response to the loss of 7 valued colleagues, now 8 valued colleagues. We lost Joan Ryan last night. And I've said to them, this is a time for reflection and sadness in the Labour Party, because I wanted them to stay. I wanted them to fight their corner within a political party. I've been a member of the Labour Party since I was 15 years old. I love it as an institution. But I did say there are aspects of it that I don't recognise anymore. The harshness, the brutality, the bullying. Yes, it's small numbers of people. We're a 500,000 strong party, and the vast majority of those members are enthusiastic. They just want to live in a fairer country. That's why I joined all those years ago. But there are some new members, a tiny number, that I think are harsh and bullying in their ways. And I felt shamed when Luciana Berger felt she had to leave. She was driven out by racist bullies. And that's completely unacceptable in any liberal democracy. But I still think that the Labour Party is the century-old vehicle that can change lives and give voice to ordinary working people whose voices are not heard by the powerful. And that's why I'm so disappointed they've gone. And that's why I really want people to stay and fight their corner. But thanks for your views, Caroline. I appreciate your candour, and I wish you well in your campaigning on Brexit. But I'm going to go to another caller now. We've got Peter in Wimbledon. Peter, welcome to LBC. What have you got to say on Brexit this morning?
Thank you. Good morning, Tom. Couple of points is what I'd like to say is it's quite understandable the position the leadership of the Labour Party took on Brexit, because you would like to keep your base up north, those people who voted to leave, and at the same time you're trying to sell to the Remain side another kind of lie. And I'm sorry, but when you guys come on the radio and TV and you say we're going to be advocating for the closer ties with the single market, customs union membership, you're forgetting to say that European Union made it absolutely clear that without freedom of movement, we're not going to be allowed to cherry pick any parts of the deal. And the deal Theresa May brought from Brussels is the only deal available on the table. And no matter who's going to be negotiating this deal, whether it's going to be Jeremy Corbyn or Theresa May, there is no move on that. And that is fundamental thing. And we've had enough of lies before the referendum took place in 2016. And why Labour Party is not united and telling people the truth is just beyond me. Because you either keep us in utter contempt by making another list of undeliverable promises just in order to get to power, or you're just simply inept. And the other point, Tom, before I'll allow you to respond, is it's about time people within Parliament and you in opposition ask the question about criminality, about foreign influences, about involvement of Russian money before the referendum campaign. And when people within Leave and those who are advocating for Brexit have a close ties to the foreign money, and a recent report which has been published actually advocated that, and former director of Cambridge Analytica is going to be questioned by Robert Mueller in the United States. This is huge, because votes which has been won by breaking electoral law and criminal influences should be investigated. And I think it's about time we should just ask the government to do something about it.
Peter, you make two big points there. Let me take that last one first. What you're alluding to is a 1.5-year report published the start of this week by the Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, which looked in great detail at the dissemination of misinformation and fake news online. And they looked at Russian propaganda turbocharged by tech on the social media platforms, and concluded that we needed an independent public inquiry to see whether the Russian state had interfered with not just the EU referendum, but the last general election and the Scottish independent referendum. And you know what? It got completely knocked off the news because my colleagues resigned and created the independent group. But that was an important report that is essentially saying that our liberal democracy is under threat from other state actors. And I agree with them, which is why I've called for a Mueller-style inquiry. And I think you're absolutely right to call it out this morning. If I had my way, we would have a public inquiry now looking at whether the Russians interfered in our democracy during the EU referendum, the Scottish independence referendum, and the last general election. It's too late to stop that now. But the reason we want to do that, and we should do that, is I need to be able to say to voters, we'll never let Vladimir Putin interfere with our democracy again. And you can't say that unless you know what's going on. Now, on your point about being truthful and negotiations, a negotiation is non-negotiable until it's negotiable. And I think politics is the art of the possible. That's why I worry about Theresa May. You've got to hustle people. You've got to bring them together in teams. You've got to reach over the sort of party divide. We had a Conservative MP and a Labour MP who are trying to find their own plan this morning. Others are doing that. And I think it is possible to get a different kind of deal that benefits our economy, brings our manufacturers closer to the European market, and could possibly get an outcome on freedom of movement there, Peter. Because if you look at the domestic context, you look at Germany, you look at Spain, you look at Italy, you look at Scandinavia, there is that freedom of movement part of the European consensus is under challenge in their domestic jurisdictions. That's why I think we can get an outcome. And that's why I welcome your uncompromising comments on the programme this morning. And I'm going to move on to another caller, John in Hornsey. Welcome to LBC. What can I do for you this morning?
Hi, Tom. Thank you. And thank you for your condemnation of anti-Semitism, just for one of your last callers. I've got a couple of points about the second referendum and also anti-Semitism. Your first caller said that Brexit was a project by the far right, for the far right. I've got to reject that. I'm sorry. Brexit was all about, are you for concentration of absolute power or decentralisation of power? There was nothing left or right wing about that. Your own constituency was 68% leave, so he's insinuating those constituents are far right. I've got to reject that. On the point about the independent group claimed to be kind of a rejection of establishment politics, Chuka Umunna in December 2016 said, Chuka Umunna, today urged Remain campaigners to abandon calls for a second referendum or risk being seen as a metropolitan elite who think they know best. And Wes Streeting and Chuka Umunna, in a joint statement in February 2017, said, we believe as Democrats that we must abide by the national result, which is a clear choice to leave the EU. On the ballot paper in the referendum, it wasn't, do you want to deal with the EU or to remain in the EU? It was, do you want to leave the EU or do you want to remain in the EU? And anyone who voted for 50, by default, voted for a no-deal Brexit. That's my say on Brexit. I'm a Leave voter in Haringey, so I fit in the minority. On the point about anti-Semitism, this is the difficulty for Democrats, because I'm absolutely with the 8 who've defected so far on anti-Semitism. Many of my friends, neighbours, colleagues are Jewish, and the anti-Semitism has been horrendous. What I would call show deselection in Joan Ryan's constituency broadcast on Press TV was one of the lows in British politics. So for me, I'm absolutely with them on anti-Semitism, but I'm absolutely against them on the second referendum. And that is why I think that kind of grouping, who claim to be anti-establishment, yet are seeking to overturn, because they don't like the result of the biggest democratic vote in history, that's the tension for me.
John, there's a tension in politics every day right now. Thanks for your call. More of your calls coming shortly. 0345 6060 973 if you want to get involved in the national conversation. I'm Tom Watson, standing in for James O'Brien. It's 10:30, and with the headlines, it's Simon Conway.
As you've been hearing, the Deputy Labour leader Tom Watson has told LBC one of 8 MPs who've left the party, Luciana Berger, was driven out by racist bullies. But he's urged others who might be thinking of joining the new independent group to instead stay in Labour to fight their corner. A British teenager who married an Islamic State fighter in Syria says the decision to revoke her British citizenship is unjust on her and her newborn son. Shamima Begum's family say they will challenge the move by the Home Office. 11 people arrested after a man was stabbed to death near Euston Station in London have been released on bail. The group was held on suspicion of murder following the attack on Monday. LBC weather mostly dry with some sunny spells for southern and eastern parts of the UK. Windy with some rain in the north and west, a high of 13 degrees.
This is LBC.
Talk me through the Vonage phone system Entourage. Mr. Fixer?
Seamlessly flips your call from your desk phone to your mobile.
Mr. Intel?
Shares complete visibility on all your calls and costs.
Miss Deals?
Pulls together Salesforce data when customers call.
Nice guy, techie.
Gives you 24/7 support.
And you, Miss Money?
Offer you a business-ready phone system at a surprisingly low cost.
Okay, let's do this.
Make Vonage part of your entourage. To find out more, go to vonage.co.uk. Terms apply.
Vonage. Sounds like good business to me.
Your business has come this far, but now's your time to soar into the skies of spectacular with a fast, affordable Funding Circle business loan. With decisions in as little as 24 hours and a dedicated account manager, there's no waiting around. So join the thousands of businesses who have taken out a Funding Circle loan and help your business fly. Apply today at fundingcircle.com. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. T's and C's apply.
Tom, take a seat. You must be exhausted after your train journey.
It's okay. Let's do this standing.
Do you want to plug in your laptop?
No, I'm at 100%.
And the presentation, I'll get you the Wi-Fi code to download it.
Already downloaded.
Well, it pays to be prepared. Let's get cracking, Tom.
Actually, there is one thing before we start.
Anything you need, Tom.
My name's Chris.
Right.
With free Wi-Fi, extra seats and more power sockets on every train, you'll always arrive ready for business with Great Western Railway. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you looking for that certain special someone? Someone to share life's big decisions with?
I am. I just don't know where to look.
Don't worry. At Experian.co.uk, we've helped thousands of people find happiness by introducing them to their data self.
I'm in love already.
Find out how your data self could help you make better financial decisions. Meet yours at Experian.co.uk today.
At every stage of our lives, we've had help with certain things, like learning the recorder, mastering technology.
Even my passwords need passwords.
So, if you're over 60, ask about getting extra help at home or financing a move to a care home. Independent Age, the older people's charity, is here to help. For your free guide about care, call 0800 319 6789 or visit independentage.org.
It's time. Time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. With stunning HD video, crisp audio, and instant wireless sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Your company's doing pretty well. Your tax position's okay. So what's keeping you awake at night?
To face the future with confidence, talk to Vision Consulting. We've expanded from Gants Hill to the Gherkin, with clients from the fishmonger to the multi-million-pound property investment company. And our growth as a firm of chartered accountants and registered auditors is based on our passion for our clients' business.
Have confidence in your accountant. See visionconsulting.co.uk.
Tom Watson on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
We're talking about Brexit, but obviously the big issue of the day are my colleagues in the Labour Party leaving us and rumours of Conservative MPs about to leave the Tory party. But I've got Catherine on the line from Manchester, I think. Catherine, you're very welcome this morning.
Hi, Tom.
How are you doing? I heard you had the Manchester MP Lucy Powell on earlier. I don't know if you heard what she had to say.
Well, I'm actually in Stockport.
Oh,
so
Stockport,
I'm a constituent of Anne Coffey, one of the independent group. But I've got an interesting backstory in that my mother was a Tory and my dad was a big trade union man, father of the chapel at a national newspaper in the 70s.
Really? Which paper was he on?
FT.
The FT, very good, very good.
Along with his dad and three of my uncles, so a family business there.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Now, one thing my dad was really, really passionate about was whenever he negotiated a pay deal or anything for his members, he always returned to them to gain their consent on what he had negotiated. And I honestly think he'd be turning in his grave at Labour's stance on Brexit at the moment. We're 3 years on from the EU referendum, and kind of every promise, every commitment has been shown to be undeliverable. And now we hear, apparently, that no deal's on the table. And yet still, Labour isn't saying, right, let's just stop this a moment. Let's go back to the people. May's deal or no deal, or do you want to remain? And I think that's what he would have believed in as a trade union man. And I love Labour, and, I've always been pro-Labour, but at the moment, I'm just lost, politically homeless at the moment.
It's interesting you say that, Catherine. There's a colleague of mine, Peter Kyle, he's the MP for Hove, and he's in a similar position to you. He's trying to push a position that says, OK, let's try and bring everyone together, like Lucy and Rob Halfon were doing earlier. He's saying, in return for supporting Theresa May's deal in the chamber, which basically allows her to go and negotiate the legislation around it over the next year or two, let's then, if we vote for your deal, Theresa May should agree to put it to a referendum. What do you think about that?
I think it's really interesting. I'd like to see it in legislation, because you cannot trust this government on anything. And I fear that they may just go, yeah, fine. Oh, yeah, we've changed our minds. And that's where I want Labour to stand up for the workers, because we're seeing all these companies closing, relocating, and yet we are, what are we, 40 days from Brexit? And still, where is that fight? And part of me is very, very concerned. I am pro a referendum. I am pro informed consent.
Let me put you on the spot there a bit, though. Right?
Sure.
What happens if I listen to you tomorrow? Right, go back to Jeremy and say, right, I've had Catherine on. We're going to put it to a vote. We're going to move it a People's Vote amendment next week, and we lose it.
Yeah.
That's People's Vote gone for good then. There's no parliamentary majority for it. And that's partly why those MPs that support a people's vote haven't moved that amendment. See, politics is the art of the possible. You've got to take people with you. You've got to hustle. You've got to do deals. You're seeing it going on across the party floor. And that's why it seems to me that the people pushing a people's vote, don't share in the dilemma that we do as the official opposition, which is we just don't have the votes.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think you are in a very, very tricky situation. You've got a lot of people who are still pro-Brexit, your constituents, whatever, who aren't frightened by no deal, which horrifies me in the first place because it's an absolute disaster for the country. So I understand that Labour is in a really tricky situation. But 3 years on, we've got Honda News, whatever they say about it not being Brexit in their official statement. They warned before the referendum that if we were outside the single market, the Japanese car manufacturers would go. And I would put it to you, if Jeremy Corbyn went and saw those people at Honda at the moment, do you think they might like a vote on the final Brexit deal? I think they would.
Well, I used to work for those workers in Swindon when I was an officer of the Amalgamated Engineering and Electrical Union. And I sat on the Rover Task Force, and I worry that my constituents who work in the supply chain, in the auto industry and in the aerospace industry, they voted Brexit and they might lose their jobs because of it. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't respect their decision. And I've got to try and get a deal at the end of this in their best interest.
I think that's absolutely right, and I applaud you. I'm a big fan of yours, Tom. But I think 3 years on, when everything was dismissed as Project Fear, which is now turning into Project Reality, I've been out on the streets of Greater Manchester for 2 years now talking to Leavers, and I can tell you this. The Leavers here are queuing up to talk to us and go, dear God, I didn't vote for this. We've got Manchester councils who are at their wits' end, which I'm sure Lucy Powell knows about, which they're being told to plan for no deal and yet have no idea what to plan for. They're having to take money from local services in Greater Manchester to kind of plan for no deal. We are in really dangerous territory here, and I just fear we have respected the referendum for 3 years nearly. You guys have tried to make it work. And the bottom line is, it was a fantasy. What people were promised will not be delivered.
Catherine,
and that is where I think Labour can stand up for the workers.
Thanks for your trade union heritage is strong in you this morning. I'm going to go to another caller now. Chris in Hackney, welcome to LBC. What's your point this morning?
Good morning, Tom. Well, let me start by telling you that I've been a Labour Party supporter all my life and a Labour Party member for all of my adult life. But I'm perilously close now to handing in my card. And really the only reason I'm still a member is because my Member of Parliament is Meg Hillier, a woman I regard with the greatest respect at every level. Now, why Meg Hillier? Because she's one of the MPs who understood 2.5 years ago that once you've triggered Article 50, once you've agreed to allow that to happen in Parliament, everything else follows. We are where we are because of the sheer lack of leadership. Yes, at the head of the Tory party, Theresa May is possibly the worst Prime Minister this country has ever had in history, but because also of the failure of leadership of people like you and Jeremy Corbyn at the head of the Labour Party. Because you didn't need to agree to the triggering of Article 50 until there had been a national consensus, a cross-party consensus about what deal we wanted from the European Union. The reason we're in the mess we're in now is because that didn't happen, because of a failure of leadership.
Well, we've definitely got a failure in leadership. I think you're being a bit unfair on me and Jeremy there, colleague, because I just think we were duty bound to respect the decision of the people there, Chris. Do you not think that Labour was obliged?
People said leave the EU. Tom, you know very well what I'm saying is the truth. It was the government's decision, but it had to be put to Parliament for approval when we triggered Article 50 to start the process. So we could have said the day after the referendum to the EU, right, we're leaving. And as soon as we've agreed nationally the terms that we want of the deal from you, then we'll trigger Article 50 and start discussing it with you. Instead of which, we triggered Article 50 before anybody had got a clue what it was that they wanted.
Chris, let me push back at you there. Right, look, everyone this morning, like Catherine in Manchester, Where's the numbers on this? Theresa May came to Parliament, said she's going to trigger Article 50. Labour would have voted against it, could have voted against it, and she'd have got Article 50 triggered.
You think that Ken Clarke would have voted for triggering Article? He didn't, did he?
No, but she would still have got a deal through on the votes of the of Labour rebels and the DUP, right? Whatever we'd done on that, wasn't it better to say we respect the decision of the referendum, but we want to get the right deal? And the distinction there was, OK, we're going to go for this. We've got 2 years to sort it out. We want greater economic alignment. We've got to look after the manufacturing heartlands that the Tories don't care about. We're going to hustle you, Theresa May. We're going to support your Article 50, but we're going to negotiate with you. Could we possibly have recognised that Theresa May was going to ignore the concerns of every party leader for 2 years?
Well, of course you could, because look at the woman's track record over the years. That's exactly the way she's operated throughout her entire political life.
Well, but in the circumstances of Brexit, where a Tory Prime Minister is saying we respect the decision of a referendum, this is an issue of national import. I mean, any Prime Minister should have been reaching out, not just to Labour, but to the SNP and the Welsh Nationalists and the other independent MPs. I mean, if she'd have done this right, then we were absolutely right at the time to say, all right, we'll go with you on triggering Article 50. This is what the people have voted for.
Yes, well, of course
we respect it.
Of course she could have done it, but Tom, the point I'm making to you is that her track record suggests that she was never going to do that, in which case you shouldn't have agreed to it. And I don't agree with you that it would have been passed. Ken Clarke was not alone. If there had been a serious, robust opposition to the triggering of Article 50 until such times as there was a proper negotiated settlement about what it was that we wanted from the EU, I think that there would have been dozens of Tory MPs who would have joined that, simply to say, we're not overturning the result of the referendum, but we're not going to commit national suicide by starting this negotiation and sending that ridiculous person to Brussels to negotiate on our behalf until we know what it is we want from them, which we didn't.
Chris, thanks for your tough comments this morning. I'll listen to you. And yesterday, the Shadow Chancellor, my colleague John McDonnell, said that the Labour Party was mounting a massive listening exercise. Well, what better place to do that on LBC? I'm taking your calls on the future of the country. What direction do you want us to go in? It's your chance to call me and share your thoughts and experiences. Nothing's off the table, so let's have your say. 0345 6060 973. I'm Tom Watson, standing in for Kidderminster's James O'Brien. It's just gone 10:45.
5 days of big names on LBC.
I'm Jess Phillips.
Hello, it's David Lammy.
My name is Anna Subri.
You're listening to Tom Watson.
My name's Emily Thornbury, and I'm sitting in for James O'Brien.
You've got a boatload of kids sinking in the English Channel.
Let's sink.
You leave me worried for the future of humanity.
I also want to know what on earth led that girl to do that.
You make a good point about the horror that would await us with Jeremy Corbyn.
I want to hear other people's views. I want to hear your view.
What has she been doing? She's just been going over to Brussels and buying Toblerones.
5 days of big names on LBC. Monday to Friday morning from 10 on LBC.
From big business owner to small startups, the LBC Business Hour with BT answers all the questions you may have.
When it comes to selling your startup business, nobody can actually have that passion that you've got for it yourself. For me, that's why the startup failure rate is high, because they don't know how to market and sell themselves.
Join Ian Dale every Thursday evening from 8 for the LBC Business Hour with BT, helping you to be there for the moments that matter in business and LBC.
Ooh, now let's get one of you on top of the mountain. Perfect. And one with a vineyard in the background. Very nice. Now one in front of the castle. You look great against the sunset.
There are many ways to experience the picturesque beauty of Mallorca this winter, with its stunning mountains, vineyards and castles, but only one way to fly. Fly British Airways from Gatwick to Palma from £29 each way based on a return fare. Availability and dates are limited. Conditions and booking fee may apply. For more details, cba.com/Gatwick.
For hundreds of years, Indian food has been about sharing great food with the people you love. For over 5 years, Manjal Restaurant have brought North and South India together in the heart of London. And due to its success, now we've come to Chigwell Loughton. Experience the essence of India and make memories with Manjal. Book now at manjalrestaurant.com.
There are two types of people in this world. Those that wait and those that do. This is for the doers. You know that luck isn't found, it's made. And here at Esme, we know that good things come to those who go and get them. That's why our business loans are simple and easy to arrange, so you can seize every day. Apply today. Search Esme Loans. Eligibility criteria and fees apply.
If you have high blood pressure, please listen closely. If you struggle to control your blood pressure with tablets and are taking 3 or more blood pressure medications, you may be interested in a new clinical research study at St Bart's Hospital in London. The study is evaluating a device-based procedure to lower blood pressure and potentially reduce or eliminate the need for blood pressure medications. To learn more, please visit www.bpstudy.org.uk. That's www.bpstudy.org.uk.
Hey, you know what they say, go big or go home. So get yourself to Big Motoring World for up to 2,000 used BMWs, Audis, Mercedes, VWs, Nissans, Fords, Vauxhalls, Peugeots, Fiats, Mitsubishis, Citroens, Hondas. Oh, I know that's a big list, but I already told you, go big or go home. See bigmotoringworld.co.uk or find them minutes from the M25. Hit it, ladies.
Big Motoring World.
High quality, affordable kitchens designed in your own home. That's Room Sense.
That's Room Sense.
Book your free Room Sense home design visit and we'll measure up, show you samples, create a stunning kitchen design and give you a quote all before we leave.
Quality at a price you can afford. That's Room Sense.
Book today at roomsense.co.uk.
Tom Watson on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I'm taking your calls on Brexit and the future of politics, be it Labour and Conservative. We've got some text messages in. I've got Angela in Swindon who said the Leave campaign used short phrases that ordinary people understood, even if they were lies. She says they were manipulated, in her opinion. And I've got a call from a caller up in the East Midlands. I voted Labour all my life, Tom. I left my local party after it became an Orwellian nightmare in 2016. I was called a Blairite and a Red Tory and told I needed re-educating in socialism. It was totally toxic. Well, I'm very, very sorry to hear that, Julie, and that's a great shame. I don't want you to feel that. I've been called a Red Tory a few times on Twitter myself. And have enjoyed the Labour Party at 15. It really gets up my nose when it happens. I'm sorry about that, and I'm trying to make sure that the sort of people who are trying to bully members are not welcome in our ranks, because I want everyone to feel that the Labour Party is for them if they agree what we're saying politically. If you've got any more text messages, why not text me on 84850. Going to take another call now. John in Wanstead, you are very welcome to LBC. What do you want to tell me about Brexit or the state of British politics this morning, John?
A few questions. First one was, how can you actually stick with Corbyn? He's the reason we're in the mess today, but I'll explain why, and maybe you can answer me. He did a very lackluster campaign to actually stay in the EU. He was sort of nowhere to be seen, and now obviously we're out the EU. He's obviously the reason why 8 MPs left the party recently. He's the reason why after 40 years I've left the Labour Party due to anti-Semitism. My grandparents were murdered due to anti-Semitism. These people have left. People like Hatton has come in, and George Galloway wants to come in.
John, tell me about your grandparents. Your grandparents were German Jews. Is that what you're trying to say, or
they were Dutch Jews?
They were
murdered because of anti-Semitism, which is sort of creeping. Well, which has come into the Labour Party, and it's all due to one man.
And were they involved? Were they involved in the Labour Party as well, John?
No, they weren't killed for being Labour members. They were killed due to anti-Semitism in Germany.
And your family? Do you come from a Labour family?
Well, no. I'm a Labour member for 40 years. My family weren't, But I certainly gave in my card 3 years ago when Jeremy Corbyn came in.
Tell me why you joined the Labour Party 40 years ago.
I joined the Labour Party because it was a broad church, and they fought racism, which they don't seem to be doing now. And I've always been in unions. Well, I even went to union meetings, and it started to creep in there as well. With
what was your union, John?
Hate Palestinian stuff, hate Israel stuff, which appearing in meetings. So
what was your union?
I complained against that.
What union were you a member of, John?
The NUJ and the University and College Lecturers Union. They don't do it now. I've made complaints, but I've seen it in the Labour Party conferences. Palestinian flags coming in. Why not British flags or Israeli flags?
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. What's your message to Jeremy Corbyn this morning?
Resign. How can he cause so much problem? But you still haven't quite answered my question. Why are you still sticking with him?
I'm sticking with him because as a Labour Party member for over 35 years, we're a broad movement with 500,000 members who democratically elected him twice, John. And I still think the vehicle for social change in this country that has delivered progress for working people without a voice is the Labour Party. We've been doing it consistently for over a century. And with the fourth industrial revolution on our doorstep, with millions of workers being threatened by AI and machine learning, global capitalism, surveillance capitalism, the only vehicle for supporting them and giving them a security and opportunity is the Labour Party. And whatever's happened this week with people leaving this great party of ours, they still need us. And so I'm going to stay and fight my corner. And I'll say to you, John, you may not like Jeremy as leader, but if you genuinely believe in a fairer society and you want to fight racism, come back into the party and fight with me. We'll fight those anti-Semites. We'll deal with those bullies. We'll bring 500,000 Labour Party members together and we'll go out on the doorsteps and try and make this party electable. But I need you with me on it. I don't need people walking away.
The only trouble is it's not happening at all. More anti-Semites are joining the party.
Well, they're not welcome, they're racist, they're bullies, and they shouldn't be in the Labour Party. One anti-Semite in the Labour Party is one too many. And I'm going to fight them all the way until they are removed from whatever position they hold in this party. And John, I'm very sorry to get your call this morning. It's not just very sad. It's infuriating that you feel unwelcome in our ranks. And I tell you, I want to make sure this party is ready for you to rejoin. And you can be part of a party you're proud of again. And part of a Labour movement that gets into office, gets into power, and transforms opportunity for the millions of people that have been ignored by the Tories. Thanks for your call this morning. I've got an international caller. Charles from Frankfurt. Welcome to LBC. Tell me what you've got to say on Brexit or the state of politics today.
Yes, good morning, Tom. Good to speak to you. I've spoken to James O'Brien before, calling from Germany. I'm one of the disenfranchised European British citizens, which I resent, I have to say. And basically, I'm calling now with the general sense of politics being sitting on the fence, waiting, pushing, pointing fingers. And I think you're doing a grand job of defending the indefensible, frankly. I think, there's too much waiting, looking, seeing what advantage one can possibly get out of a situation rather than actually facing up to a situation that is a cliffhanger in the real sense of the word. And I think it's irresponsible. I think that the political class, if you like, in Parliament, they're letting everybody down.
What have we got to do to get you back, to win your confidence?
Well, I think one's got to start with some honesty, some basic honesty, to say, well, we've tried it, but we've failed, and we've got to go back and put it back to the people. I think that's the only way. I think Parliament, I think the government has evidently clearly failed, to meet its promises, what it thought it could make, and what it could achieve. That's not happening. Parliament has bounced it around now, back, forth, up, down, you name it. and there's just no conclusion. And I think, and if I can make the main point as well, I mentioned the fact that we couldn't even vote with such a crucial decision that affects my children, our future, and so on and so forth. The fact is that why was the initial referendum set up without a qualified majority? If there was an absolutely clear indication, that the real majority of the nation would want to go one way or other, then all this would have been spared us. And so the message I'm putting to you is learn from the mistakes if you can. It's the 11th hour gone, and then perhaps get wise and do whatever comes to try and be a little bit smarter and to make a really good decisive decision possible.
Yeah, that's a message to Theresa May, not to Jeremy Corbyn, isn't it?
No, I think it's not exactly my point. It's not politics anymore. Stop this business of pointing fingers. I think that you've got to say a country is being led to a cliff. Okay, I have my opinion. I live here in Europe. I have my vantage point here. I accept other people who've got different points. But the decision, there's got to be a clean decision. And there is no clean decision here.
Charles, thanks for your call. I appreciate what you're saying, and I'll reflect on what you've said. Look, in the next hour, we've had texts and calls. I was particularly moved by John's call, who left the Labour Party. We've seen that Brexit is far from straightforward, but there's the chance of Labour and Tory MPs taking matters into their own hands to find a way out. In the next hour, we've had another resignation last night. My valued colleague, Joan Ryan, has felt she needs to leave the Labour Party. What do you think of the Labour split? What do you think about the rumours of Tory splits? I'm Tom Watson, and that's all coming up next on LBC.
On your radio, on your phone, and here